I'm broadcasting live from my home, obviously because of the COVID restrictions. I'm not able to broadcast in the gatehouse like I have done for years. Tonight I'm broadcasting from, well, my dungeon at home. And as you can tell beside me, I have my guest, lovely guest, Nicola, beside me as well. Tonight I'm going to be talking about our conference, which is coming up, our Transforming Trauma Conference 2020. And I'll be talking just about the guideline because it's on for a whole week this week. And also I'm going to be talking about my experience with, what appears to be an eating disorder that I picked up from being sick from March. And I really don't want to go too far with it, but I'll go as far as I can and share as much as I can. Being a survivor of childhood sexual abuse, has some it could have some effects. I'll talk about it a little bit, which I'll let you make up your own mind about it as well, and maybe you can relate. And you're quite welcome to chat and pass on anything that might be useful to me or to anybody else. So please do, and don't be shy. Another point I need to make as well, while I'm doing this as well, I'm not here to tell you what to do. I'm only here offering my own experiences as a survivor of childhood sexual abuse. In my recovery from the gatehouse from many years ago, and here I am talking about it now, starting actually doing this podcast from 6 years ago, live through audio and Blog Talk. Now on multiple platforms and on YouTube and on Periscope and oh my gosh, all these things at the same time, just to make it more confusing for the person like myself who really doesn't, give a rat's patoot one way or another. But nevertheless, I am here, and I'm going to talk about our conference, and I'm also going to talk a little bit about my eating disorder. And again, like I say, if you can relate, please pass that on. Any information, don't be shy. And also, I should point out, if you would like to go into our gatehouse, thegatehouse.org, and you will find all information and links coming up to the information I'm going to be talking about. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to go right into our Winboard platform. And as you can log on to our website, thegatehouse.org, and if you scroll down to the bottom of the page, you will find our conference and within full details. And I should also point out, if you don't already see it on the headline of our podcast, is that this is a free event. And if you need to register, which I'm going to repeat again anyway, but if you need to register, you need to register in advance, like up to an hour in advance, and we can only have up to 100 people on this platform at a time for each event. But that's why I encourage you to go onto our Gatehouse website, and you can find out more details on what you can do, what you can't do. And I should also point out, too, this is a free event as well. Although I encourage you, if you go to our website, gatehouse.org, and I know that. Well, I said I was going to be repetitive. But if you go to our Gatehouse website, we would greatly appreciate any donations, as we are a nonprofit organization, and we have to find our own way, more ways than one. Even tougher nowadays. Now that we can't go to the house, people can't go out. We can't, we can't go to doors, or not that we go to doors, but we can't ask people for money like we used to normally do through the normal process. How we've done that, such as, we have our conference coming now. We normally have this in May, as an example. And we raise funds from this as well, just to sustain the gatehouse, throughout the year, amongst other things. And this is just one way we are staying connected. So if I'm asking you for donations, it's on this emphasis only, that we are all locked down, we can't get out, and we are still surviving. But in order to help other people, we still need to run the gatehouse, and we still need the internet, and we still need staff, which we have, in order to make all these things come together and work. So thank you for your pleased attention. I'm sorry, you're going to say something, Nicola?
Sorry, essentially, we still need to run the house, even though it's kind of sat empty for the most part right now. We still have the running costs of the gatehouse, and also we are doing more online programs. So obviously that takes, it's not, we have all these applications that we use, and they're not free. So essentially the fundraising has to continue in order for us to continue offering these services to survivors of childhood sexual abuse.
Yeah, so like I say, this conference is free, and what I'm going to do is I'm just going to go through our conference details, and I'm just going to read them out right from our website. And forgive me if I pronounce any names wrong or incorrectly, and I'm sure I'll be corrected on it quite readily, quite quick. But nevertheless, I'll read this through to you, and you can decide whether you would like to participate or not. And I've been going to this conference for this to be my 9th one, and it's been beneficial for me in many ways in helping me find my voice. I would like to just point that out first before I start. And if you get a chance to partake in this conference, you will find it to be very empowering in a lot of ways, such as, well, your voice, as I just pointed out. It offers growth, being able to talk with other survivors. It offers growth in being able to talk with other therapists and other practitioners that are in the healing field of this particular stuff we talk about in childhood sexual abuse. So it has many great benefits by being able to partake in this conference. So anyway, let me get started. Okay, so the Transforming Trauma 2020, it's a virtual event, as I've already pointed out. The Gatehouse and community partners are once again pleased to organize a Transforming Trauma conference from November 22nd to 27th, obviously 2020. This is a year it's gone virtual, with more than 20 featured sessional speakers and presentations. This event will gather social agencies, first responders, and survivors of traumas to exchange ideas and evidence-based approaches to prevent and treat symptoms of impact of trauma. It is our intention that the attendees will be educated and empowered to become agents of transformation for themselves and those who have been impacted. So kind of like what I was saying already. Okay, so the event schedule, like I say, we can do up to 100 participants at a time, or registrants at a time, per seminar. So starting off, Monday 23rd. 10 a.m., of course, there will be a registration, which will be an hour. As I pointed out, you need an hour before you can register, before you can actually get on. And in that hour, once you register, we'll send you an access code that you can get on Zoom and partake in that. So the first event will be starting at 10 o'clock after a presentation from Maria, Paula, Stephanie, Arthur Lockhart, which is the founder of the Gatehouse. And also Stefan, I feel like you say, because I'm gonna.
So where am I looking at? I think it's Horror Deck.
Yeah, Horror Deck.
Silent right. Y and J.
Yeah. So. Horror Deck, and I again, that's what I.
So apologies if we got that wrong, Stefan. But
Stefan is part of our board of directors,
yes,
as well, and our staff that pointed out. So starting after that, so right away at 11:30, and that same day. Nicola will be doing a nice trauma-informed yoga session. Do you want to elaborate on that a little bit, or just leave it at that?
Well, basically, I can describe it just briefly. Trauma-informed yoga is different to what you would find in a regular yoga class. So basically, some of the moves are adjusted so that the body feels more nurtured, and also the idea of safety. So no different than if you have experienced a peer support setting, for instance, there are things that are set up so you can face the door, so you feel safe, you have an exit route if you need to go ground yourself. The room is set up so it feels cozy and comfortable and safe. The words that are used by the yoga teacher are choice words. So you don't tell someone to go into a pose, you give them the option of going into a pose. And it's all about the wording and the way that you use soft language in order to encourage someone to go into a particular pose. So you always have a choice. And if at any time any of those poses don't speak to someone, then you give them the option of going into any pose that they feel their body needs to go into. So it's all about choice, because essentially control has been taken away from the survivor from a very young age. And it's actually empowering the survivor to feel back into their body, for one, because a lot of the time the the body has lost sensitivities depending on how you've processed the trauma. Some people that may go to a yoga class can't even feel their body. So I find with survivors of childhood sexual abuse, myself being one of those, is that it's getting back to feeling into the body. And that's where yoga can really help you, or any kind of movement will actually help you to reconnect to the body after the trauma has been dealt with and processed, or while you are processing. So it's a really good way of connecting back into the body and balance, and allowing balance to show up for you. And it's grounding. You know, breath is life at the end of the day. So we encourage breath in yoga. So anyway, with that babbling on like a babbling brook, I will pass it back to you.
Okay, thank you, Nicola. And so after Nicola has opened up with some grounding and some yoga, and at 1 p.m. again is another registration for another panel session, and the panel session is about to cope with trauma symptoms. So our guest panelist will be Sherry Jackson, Deb Mayberry, which is also part of the Gatehouse, Catherine Junn. Again, if you go onto our website, you'll find more details about her. And again, Andrea Robin Skinner as well, which we know is also a friend of the Gatehouse as well.
And she's also a yoga teacher.
And thank you.
Just
so
I'd add that.
So again, you need to register an hour prior to being on there, and we will send you an email giving you an entrance number to get into it. Okay, so the next one, which is very, very exciting, which I've had experience in as well, at 4 p.m., there'll be art therapy. Art therapy, the process of practical application with Lacey Ford. I've had the pleasure of knowing Lacey Ford for many, many years, and I've also been part of her art therapy program, which she's had going at the Gatehouse as well for many years, which I've talked about in previous podcasts and talked about it as well. So Lacey Ford, the co-founder of Full Circle Art Therapy. If you Google Full Circle Art Therapy, you will find that they are also located downtown Toronto. I don't have that information in front of me, but if you Google Full Art Therapy Center, you will find all that information regarding art therapy. Okay, so that's the Monday gone. Tuesday, November 24th. Okay, so starting at 3 p.m. Releasing shame and blame. Eating disorder management. It's funny, I'm talking about that a little bit later on. Presented by Caitlin Axelrod, if I pronounced that correctly. Program and outreach coordinator at Sheena's Place. And again, that's located in Toronto, and I would suggest you Google Sheena's Place. And she, well, should be talking about eating disorders, and they'll have a platform. And I guess it'll be for, it doesn't say how long, but I imagine it would be for at least an hour long. All these platforms are about an hour long, maybe a little bit longer, depending on the moderator, how the discussion is going. We'll control that. So the next one on Tuesday, the next one will be 7 p.m. So these are actually kind of starting late that day. Unless there's any changes, we'll let you know through the website. At 7 p.m., actually myself will be involved in this as well. I'm not too sure who the other survivors are, but at 7 p.m., childhood sexual abuse survivors panel registry. Obviously, again, the panel session will be 6 survivors of CSA trauma will share some of their stories and address some of the common questions other survivors and public have about this type of trauma. So basically, the 6 of us will talk about our experiences, not just only about our healing journey, but also about our experiences, whether it be, well, connection with people, I guess would be a good way to put it. Trust, boundaries, anger, all those sort of things to whatever degree, whatever come up. But again, we'll be a little bit more detailed about that. But I kind of gave you the basic outline, what it will entail, and just please stay tuned in. And furthermore, when I come back here next week and I do the podcast again, I'll if there's any changes, I'll let you know, and also remind you about what's coming up. Okay, Wednesday, November 25th, 11 a.m. We're going to be talking about suicide prevention and support. It's a 1 hour, obviously, registry again. Alex Sheldon, program manager of Traumatic Loss Survivor Program, and Ian Kelly, program facilitator from the Distress Center of the Greater Toronto, along with Brad Hutchins, an assist trainer. Brad is an assist trainer. I did my training with him more than a few years ago now, but he runs the assist program at the Gatehouse, and we'll be providing support and information and regarding this forum as well. Okay, so we'll be discussing part of prevention on how to compassionately support someone who has been impacted by suicide ideations. So it will be a very, very informative forum for people that work in suicide or if you're thinking about suicide ideation and you've gone through this in your past and you may want some help. Well, this may be a good forum for you to go, and maybe you'll get some good insight and helping you finding some tools to help you through these hard times if you are having them. 1 p.m. After that is over, supporting childhood survivors of childhood sexual abuse. Again, another hour registry as well. Lindsay Loeb works at the Canadian Centre for Child Protection, and we'll be discussing that we have learned, and where we're going to protect children in the future.
So can I just clarify?
Yeah.
It's supporting child survivors of sexual trauma. So this is actually for children. This particular one, it's not adult survivors. Just wanted to clarify that. Okay, thank you for pointing that out. Yeah. And the next thing at 3 p.m., supporting victims of human trafficking. Again, 45-minute registry. Cynthia Bland, founder and CEO of Voices Found, will be discussing needs and resources, support for victims of human trafficking, including programs available at Voice Found in Ottawa, which they are located out of Ottawa. And that is Wednesday, the 25th. Thursday, November 26th, 11 a.m., Somatic Experience, SC 45-minute registrations, Avdeep Batra, if I pronounced that correctly. Sumatra Experiencing, a practitioning trainer. So that'll be for 1 hour. And so it's basically EMDR therapist is what this lady is all about. So and what does that stand for layman's terms? Do you know?
Well, I've only heard it.
I can't remember.
Yeah, I can't think of it off the top of my head. I mean, if I probably Google it quickly, I can explain it. But EMDR therapist, and I only see this all the time, and for some reason, it draws a blank to me now. But anyway, that will be managing anxiety and stress. And again, this will be another hour session or hour and a bit, depending on what's going on. And also too many people, obviously, how many people registered. That is Thursday, November 26th. Oh, you may want to be careful about that. Just, no, do this. Just do this. Bring it over. Sorry, excuse me here for a second. There we go. Having two screens and trying to figure things out.
Whoopsie daisy. Okay,
so anyway, moving on. Friday, November 27th, which will be the last day of the conference. Starting at 11 a.m., Voice Found, Finding Strength for Victims to Heal. Again, you got an hour prior before. Lucia Brunet, I should say, Program Manager of Strength Found. The Voice Found will discuss the organization, how to get involved. Part of this session will be delivered in French. So out of all the programs we got going, this is one that we'll be doing both, and in French and in English. So for our French and English listeners out there who would like to hear it in French, well, we have this on our platform as well now. And finally, at 1 p.m., we'll have another meditation session with with Brad. Again, you need to register in Brad Hutchins, by the way. You need to register an hour in advance, which he will be doing Bubba Jin, facilitated by Brad, providing insights and practicing meditation to lead you into the session. It's a 30-minute session. It's not very long. I really recommend that if you're feeling agitated and anxious and you'd like a gentle way of calming down. I've done this lots of times, and it's another form of Tai Chi. Very slow, easy movements. You're breathing all from your diaphragm, all up. You're releasing all that, well, I like to call it bad energy is what you're doing when you do this exercise. So it is very, well, I like it. It's very liberating. Exercise is very gentle and gentle breathing. And,
You sound like you're talking about yoga.
Oh, yeah. Well, actually, I'm talking about Tai Chi.
I know.
But nevertheless, this is a very good, and I would really recommend that you would register with this with Brad. And it's only 30 minutes of your day. It's on a Friday, the end of the week. It couldn't be any better to de-stress yourself from your week. So I recommend you tune into this and take the 30 minutes and do this. And I guarantee you, well, I can't guarantee anything. That's a really strong thing for me to say, but I can pretty much guarantee you, I guess that's a little bit better, right? That you will feel much better from doing this exercise. It's just amazing what a little bit of proper breathing will do from your core out, and how it relaxes you in just a short amount of time. So please stay tuned for more. I'll repeat this again next week to a greater degree, maybe a little bit better description of some of our guests. But this is just a basic outline. Again, go to our website, gatus.org, and you'll find details, and you can register there as well in advance, which I would recommend you do, because I'm almost 100% sure we're going to fill up these spots pretty fast, to be honest with you. So thank you to support our events. So this event will be funded by Victims Fund grants and contributions program administered by the Department of Justice Canada. So we're not doing this out of our own pockets, folks. We're doing this from help from Justice Canada. Funds are available to provinces and territories and non-governmental organizations for programs and services that give victims and survivors of crime more effective voice in the crime of criminal justice system. For more information about the Victims Fund, go to www.justice.gc.ca for more information. Or for more information, go to www.victimsweek.gc.ca, and you'll get more information on this. And if you are by chance in Canada, I'm talking about obviously, and any of the other provinces or territories, wish to be part of this program from Justice Canada, I would recommend you get a hold of them, and they can explain, give you the details and guidelines. Excuse me, pardon?
Would you like a drink?
Oh, yes, I will in a moment. But we'll explain all the guidelines on regards to how this will work. Basically, I guess you have to fill out an application and what it's about. But I would encourage you just to go to the website rather than me trying to explain all the details. So, like I say, our sponsors are Voice Found, Gina's Place supporting eating disorders, Full Circle Art, Distress Centers of Toronto, again, Justice Canada for supporting this event. Thank you for that. So I hope you got a basic idea, a really good basic idea of what's going on. Excuse me, I need to take a drink, please. Any other thoughts or insights in regards to the conference before we move on? Oh, yes. Can you please? Yes.
I looked up the EMDR. It's actually eye movement desensitization and reprocessing. So that's what EMDR stands for. So that was one of the things with the topics that they're covering throughout the conference. So if you wanted to register for that particular one, please feel free to do so via the gatehouse.org website.
Oh, wow, this camera's funny, isn't it? Well, folks, thank you, Nicola, for saying that. And you know what? I've only heard EMDR, and you think I would know the acronym? Probably because I'm on camera and I'm live and I'm having a really dumb moment. I don't know, something like that.
Are you calling yourself bad names again?
Yeah, or I was having a thought process moment. I could say that, I guess. But nevertheless.
That's better.
Okay, so I was being forgetful, and I'm going to shit on myself. I should have known that. I've only said it countless times. But nevertheless, folks. Okay, now I'm going to move on to, well, I can't say it's going to be one of my favorite topics, but I'm going to talk something a little bit personal. I'm not going to go too far, because I really don't want to drag myself through the mud, or I really don't want to trigger anybody, although hopefully I don't. But the idea is...
And if you do, then that's obviously what needs to be dealt with.
Well, yes. At the same time, yes. Triggering are good insights sometimes, because sometimes, something bothers us, and yet we hide it under the blanket, and then all of a sudden you talk about it, and those blankets get all ruffled up, and what am I going to do? How am I going to react?
Essentially, how I explain a trigger, or what I prefer to call a realization, is essentially a trigger happens in the brain or in your mind when the brain is actually ready to deal with that experience. So
Or
some
not.
people may view a trigger as a negative thing. However, I personally view it as a positive thing because it's the brain telling you it's ready to deal with it.
Yes, you are absolutely right. And even if you are in constant denial, which I'm not, or something along that effect, but nevertheless, talking about these things and how you react obviously are pretty two different things, or can be two different things, especially if your emotions are, out of check and really not sure how to address that or how to deal with it or how to, feel it. And
so anyway, coming back to you. So what have you experienced since March?
Well, I think I explained this when I kind of came back and we started doing this program, and we've had all these issues. But anyway, what happened is I got sick in March. And when I got sick in March, I had this horrible fever, which lasted for probably 6 going on 7 weeks. And
do you know what that thing was?
Well, first off, I never got tested because at that time we're all told to stay home, and unless you were like not breathing, don't call us. I was breathing, so I didn't call you, and I was told to stay home, and that's exactly what I did. So I was never tested for COVID-19. Right? And with our research, I certainly had the signs, but at that time, at that time that I was sick, the research that I did really was kind of confusing. At that time, I'm talking about then, Nicola. I'm not talking about now.
Yes.
Right? So the facts were really scattered, only getting information from our so-called, local or government resources, which we count on to be accurate, which are really, accurate to a degree, I guess, without bashing anybody, which I'm not. But nevertheless, that was the case. Going on what I thought I had, which was really, I didn't think I had it then at that time. And I'm talking 3 months ago, right? Or even almost 4 months ago. But nevertheless, I didn't think I had that. I researched it. Well, moving forward, Nicola actually did more research for me on that. And apparently, in that time from when I got sick to now, even then, I had major weight loss. And even the only problem with it is, though, that I got past that, started a little bit better, actually even put on a little bit, a few ounces. That's precisely what it was. And being the type of person that I am, I can't hold weight very well unless I get really, really lazy and do all kinds of things. But that just doesn't work with me. I just have a high metabolism. Anyway, moving on. My weight loss got worse and worse and worse to where it is now, where to the point where I can't taste food. Food actually kind of revolting toward. I find it very revolting even to look at it, smell it. I can't taste it. And nevertheless, it doesn't agree with me. It doesn't like me, that sort of thing. And then, okay, that's just that side of it. That's just the physical side of it. Now, the mental side of it, that's another story in itself. I'm still really kind of trying to wrap my head around that, because basically in that outcome of what's happened with that, and saying all that, what's happened to me is now that I self-isolated before. I'm still doing it to a certain degree. I can't. It's just very, very hard. To think about food, for example. I'm through that in there after isolation, but I'm getting sidetracked here. But no, isolation is one of the things that really kicked me in the pants. I guess that's a form of depression. Not that I've really even admitted that yet, but I guess it is a form of depression. What else? Very agitated, not sleeping very well. All those things on top of not eating as well, and then other day stresses as well. So it's been very, very confusing. I understand why I don't want to eat. I mean, you're talking about a person that grew up in the country that grew up eating just about everything that was put in front of his face. There's not much I didn't eat growing up in the country on a farm. We ate just about everything, and even growing up as an adult and in my teens, in my 20s, my 30s, my 40s, now my late 50s, to where I am now prior to being sick. I ate pretty much everything. And I've never really been, too crazy overweight.
So can you explain some of your symptoms?
What kind of just did?
No, what you're left with. What
Oh,
the symptoms
yes.
are now.
Yes, the symptoms are now. So what that has left
The
me
after effects
with,
of what we believe was, I believe 100% that you've had COVID-19 without a shadow of a doubt. I believe I've had it too, but nowhere near like you have. Nowhere near it. You really struggled to get over it, in all honesty. Really.
So I guess one of the biggest things I'm discovered with this thing is that I have this horrible sense of, well, never mind the body pain that I have, and that's probably just from the weight loss. But I think the biggest thing I have is this emptiness feeling. And I can't really put my finger on it or my brain on it or something, but I cannot understand why that. I mean, like I said, I'm talking about, I'm telling you, I was a person that would just eat everything. Now I just can't. So now I feel empty. I don't even feel hunger. I don't feel hunger at all.
Which is one of the major symptoms. And 20%, which is part of my research, and that's what you've grown to accept, I believe. 20% of people that have experienced, can you turn that off?
No,
it's so distracting. Please. 20% of people that have experienced COVID-19 actually do then get the symptoms of anorexia. So I believe that's what we are struggling with now. And that's due to the fact that the body doesn't recognize the taste buds have been eradicated. Similar to, I don't know if you know people that have had cancer and they've had radiation treatment. However, similar to a cancer survivor who's had radiation treatment, the cells, the taste buds are damaged. And that can be permanent. However, there are ways of changing that. So essentially, because the body's gone into ketosis, which means essentially the body is starting to eat away at itself or eating away at its stores, then generally, if you're not recognizing that you're hungry, or the body essentially starts to get disgusted at food, you generally just don't want to eat. So basically what happens is with you, he has gone through periods where he'll eat for 3-4 days, and then he'll go for like 1 or 2 days where he hardly eats anything whatsoever. Now, from an outsider looking in, that is quite concerning. Whereas more recently, this week, he did it for almost 3 days. So he got my stress level to the stage where I'm like...
It's actually longer.
Yes, I know. It was actually 4 days. So we had some quite long conversations.
But anyway, folks, this is what part of it is. And so I think I need to include this now. Being a survivor of childhood sexual abuse, obviously I have my experiences, my trauma experiences from the past. Even though I've worked on those things for many years now, especially those disbeliefs, well, somehow they seem to just come back and just kick you right in the pants. Things such as, I talked about disassociation. Well, whether that has any effect, part of it or not, I have no idea. But that's one thing I want to do. I'm kind of like a dog and just hold on before you jump onto that. What I mean by that is if like a dog that's sick and I want to just go into far away so no one can see me and hide. And that's basically how I feel. That's not the case, but that's just an example of what it makes me feel like. And it is very, very draining, like in so many ways. But yeah, it drains me really, really good. It just sucks you right in, and it's kind of like when you have a fever. I guess that's kind of the way what it's done to me in some ways, where I just I'm in this little wall here, and
no one's coming in.
No one's coming in, and I ain't coming out. That's what happens. Well, it doesn't help that I'm. Well, I can use this, I guess, as an excuse if I want to. I can say, well, maybe it's my age. Again, I'm going to say false beliefs from the past, which I held on dearly for all those years that did not serve me in any way. I've found a way back to some degree, and so therefore I need to revisit those things, such as trust, boundaries, anger, isolation, hell if I'm not careful, addictions. You know, those are the things that could come back even with an experience like this. I only gave you, Nick and I, we gave you some basic outline of what could happen if you have the experience with COVID. Again, there's no scientific fact that I even had it. I didn't get tested. So only by our experience and, well, Nicola's nursing experience as well. So, I'm not a total hit. I kind of know what's going on. And I need to share this with you. One reason why I wanted to share with you is because I'm a male, and you can shun me all you want. I really don't give a rat's patoot, but I'm here and I'm talking about it. And number two, again, I'm a male and I'm talking about childhood sexual abuse, which we were brought up not to talk about. And even some still say not to talk about it. Well, if you were in my face, I tell you, I'd have something to say to you. If you were to say no, I don't say no. I don't take no very well, and I don't like being told what to do very well. So think about that. Anyway.
And even when you suggest.
You want to suggest?
Use the word suggest, you'll still turn around and say, you telling me what to do. I'm like, no, I'm suggesting. There's a difference.
There's a big difference. But anyway, folks, I needed to enlighten you on what's going on in regards to our trauma conference tonight. I also needed to tell you about my own personal experience with COVID, childhood sexual abuse. I did not go too far in my details. I did that intentionally because I hope I didn't trigger anybody in regards to this. And I really do hope I get some kind of response in the future in regards to if you are a man or male or female, actually, it doesn't really matter. If you've had this experience, it's not just about me, men, start off with, really, it's not. It's about everybody. But being a man, my only point being is that, well, we still have this stigma about, well, being a man and, well, take it like a man and, well, shut up like a man. Don't even talk about it. Anyway, that's my experience. And I wanted to share that with you tonight. Take it as you will. And hopefully you got some good pointers out of what I'm talking about in regards to what you might be going through in regards to COVID. I'm so sick of hearing that. Like, well.
Change it then, maybe.
Well, I can't really change it because it's in our face every day.
Well, I call it the year of the mask. So
yeah, well, it is a year
kind of makes me smile. So that's what I call it.
Yes, definitely the year of the mask. And in fact is, I'd like to wear two masks, one on my face, and I won't tell you where the other one's going to go because my finger's right with it as well, going back at some of the BS. Folks, I've been very gentle tonight. I bid you farewell. Thank you for tuning in with Nicola and I. You can find me on Twitter at I am known as the Unforgiven or Got to Get Out of. My name is Stewart Thompson. Welcome to Personal Transformation. Nicola has been my guest tonight. Please tune in next week as I will continue talking about our Transforming Trauma Conference 2020. Any last minute things you'd like to say before we sign off?
Yes, as always, never give up. Thank you. Please enjoy the rest of this beautiful day.
Folks, have a good week, and I will talk to you next week. Good night.